just you and I.
How's it going, guys? Public Safety Network here. I decided to do kind of almost like a little rant video. It's not necessarily a rant, it's just more an observation, and a buddy of mine decided that it would probably make a good video topic. This is going out to more of the company owners versus the actual guards themselves, and that is, you guys need to stop advertising services that you don't have. And I've run into this with multiple companies. They will offer a variety of services that either they've hyped them up to be something that they're not, or they completely offer services that they don't have. And I'll take it for one company that I eventually started working for, advertised that they had bail enforcement. When I went to work for the company, I kind of inquired about whether or not that was an actual service they offered, and they said no. They actually didn't even have a bail bonding license or any type of license that would allow them to act as either a bail bondsman or an enforcement agent. And so I kind of looked at that and I'm like, well, that's pretty deceiving because that's not what it says on your website. Another service they said they offered, and I've never seen a security company be offered this type of contract. I'm assuming there's probably some out there, but not usually for any of the smaller mom and pop operations, and that is a border unit. Sometimes Department of Homeland and Customs and Border Protection will offer contracts to private security companies to help assist on the border, usually with search and rescue missions. Very rarely are you going to see most security companies get that kind of contract. It usually requires hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in investments, and a lot of times you have to have the unit kind of already operational and ready to go before you're even offered the contract. And so that was a big one that I was like, this is kind of a lie. And I'm not even kind of lying, actually, it's a complete lie. And so doing this can, again, as I mentioned in previous videos, it can make the clients distrust you because, or if someone actually does come to you and says, hey, I'm inquiring about this service, and you have to say, well, we don't actually offer that service, then it's going to make you look really bad. And what they tell you about, publicity is, you have one good review, that person is going to go tell maybe 5 other people. If you get a negative review, like, again, offering a service that you don't actually have, then that one person's going to go tell 100 people, and those 100 people are going to tell another 100 people, and then eventually, you're out of business because no one can trust you. And that's the biggest thing when it comes to security, is you have to be able to build that trust. You have to be able to trust the clients have to be able to trust you have to be able to trust your staff. And that's pretty much, that's the see before you even talk to a client or even are offered a contract. Another one I see, and this is probably the biggest one that I have seen, and employees are guilty of using this, and I'll probably talk about that in another video, is offering executive protection services. Now, executive protection is a legit field. I know plenty of executive protection professionals who that is their sole job. They make quite a lot of money doing what they do, protecting, Fortune 500 CEOs, celebrities, things like that. It's a legit field of security. However, it is incredibly far and few between that you find a legit executive protection company. There are not that many out there that can offer that level of service. Majority of those times, those executive protection personnel are going to be ex-law enforcement or ex-military. Sometimes they were contractors who had overseas contracts to protect dignitaries and, important VIPs, pretty much. You're not really going to find a whole lot of that in the security world when it comes to security firms. I think in the total amount of companies I've seen in my state, and I think there's about 400 or 500 registered security companies where I live, I've seen maybe 3 that offer the legit full service. We're talking guards, choppers, armored vehicles, forward teams, counter sniper teams, all of these things. I mean, there have maybe been a handful, but like I said, they're usually looking for ex-military, law enforcement, private military contractors, paramedics, things like that. So if you go to a company and you kind of look around and it doesn't really seem like you're going to get a whole lot of that, there's a real possibility that this company isn't legit when they claim that they perform executive protection services. Now I'm going to tell you a little story here about that. A company I worked for said they offered executive protection services. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. They had some, like, the owner would talk about, oh yeah, we've protected this person, or we've protected this person, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I was never put on one of those details because, again, I'm not really familiar with the field. I haven't ever taken a course or had any experience in the field of executive protection. But I started talking to one of the guys who had been placed on this so-called detail. It was for a local celebrity. And he was pretty much like, yeah, it's not real executive protection work. It's pretty much we show up to local celebrities events where they're going to maybe doing some signings or meeting some fans, and we pretty much just make sure that things don't get out of hand, that the fans don't get too crazy and stuff like that. So pretty much I'm like, it's crowd control. And he's like, yeah, it's pretty much it's crowd control. We don't actually follow this person on their day-to-day, activities. We don't do any forward plan or anything like that. It's pretty much just we bring them, we show up, they're already at the event, we make sure the event goes well, and they usually leave with their own personnel of people. And again, the guys, that's pretty deceiving. I mean, and they post pictures, on their website and stuff like that, acting as if though that's a legit detail. And I'm like, no. I mean, if you've ever talked to actual executive protection professionals, they'll tell you that there's a lot more to it than that. That sometimes, sometimes it takes days to plan, sometimes it takes weeks to plan, sometimes they have to plan movements months in advance. And then a good piece of advice I got in this field from someone is that professionals don't give out client lists. And if you're posting that you're doing this type of work and who you're doing it with, that shows that you're not a true professional, and that's usually not something that's common in for your company. And so I'm doing this more as a warning to guards when they see a company advertising that they have all these cool security type jobs, like I said, or like bail enforcement jobs or executive protection or stuff like that you really need to do your research on what this company has to offer. Do your research on their website, look at online reviews, even ask questions when you're in the interview process about what are actual services that they offer. Because you're going to get burned when you go to this company and say, oh yeah, we have executive protection spots or whatever. And then you go there and find out that, yeah, they don't actually offer that service, or it's not a real executive protection gig. And then when you go to try to put that on your resume, it's going to become a whole slew of issues that I'm probably going to talk about in another video. But when you guys go to these companies, ask questions, be skeptical and never take anything at face value. There's tons of dishonesty in the security world. Company owners lie, or they make things sound a lot better because that's what attracts clients, is when you say you have all these, tier 1 services that you can offer them, but you really can't. And like you said, guys, you don't want to be a part of that, because if you get that company's name attached to your resume, then it's going to look down upon you. You're going to get looked down by other people in the industry, and a lot of times it can make it a lot harder to find jobs. So, like I said, be vigilant out there, guys. Stay safe. Normally I'd ask you guys to comment or like, but I'm actually going to pose a question to you guys today is, if you've ever had an experience like that where you've gone to a company and found out that they actually didn't offer services that you were interested in doing as a job for them, leave it in the comments below, guys. Now, you don't go outright name companies, because that can cause a whole slew of other issues, but just give generalizations. Tell us about the time that it happened, what you did about it, whether it was in the interview process, whether it was after you'd already gotten hired, and kind of just give us the rundown. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to try to put more videos out. I've actually gotten a ton of ideas from people, and stay safe out there, guys.